Okay, welcome. Welcome to Gordon Park here in the west of the Milwaukee River in Milwaukee. This is one of the busiest locations in the city. We're right next to Locust and Humboldt avenues, and this is a park that has been here since it was purchased in 1907, and it was started to be developed around 1910, and it's gone through a lot of changes over those decades, over 110 years or so, but it has is serving many different needs. You will see a lot of different activities going on at one time, at any given time. And so one way to experience this park is to enter from one of the points. You can enter from different street points, whether at the corner of Humboldt and Locust, or right next to the river. There's access down along the river there. And one of the best things about Gordon Park is the increased connectivity that has been created. And that's a more recent phenomenon since about around the early 2000s. And that's because there was a rail trail created. It was a railroad. The Chicago-Milwaukee Railroad was turned into the Beerline Trail, and that runs through the park and starting way down on North Avenue, and then all the way up to Locust here, and then the Beerline Trail continues on up to the west over here. But one of the things that has done, we'll walk over there in a minute, but that trail really gives everyone in Riverwest a much easier access to green space. And the trail is located right next to the wooded area of Gordon Park. When you see Gordon Park, the part you see from the road is more open. It's some large fields with a lot of mature trees. You've got a really nice picnic shelter over here. This is a very popular picnic site where people host large family gatherings and community picnics. But this park has so many different things going on. It's located on the river, and at one point there was a swimming area, a swimming house and a swimming school, and we'll see the foundations of that in the woodlands. We'll take a little walk. But then there was a swimming pool here that was built in the 40s, and then it was taken down around the late 1990s. And now there's a splash pad and a children's playground. But the needs of the area are met for what is a strong urban park. Now, what are the reasons for an urban park? It's so that people can walk, so that they can gather, that they can play, that there's fields here. There's also a soccer field at the other end of this park. So within a small space, and then you can also explore nature. There's a lot of the wooded areas where you really can explore and run around. Like kids can actually be in a natural setting. I would like to just mention there's so much history in this park. It's amazing. Most of it is not very well documented within the park, but that's just a fact of you have to kind of know how to look these things up. But across the street is the home of Charles B. Whitnall, who is considered the father of Milwaukee County Parks. Now that's the county park system, and there's a lot that we could say about Charles Whitnall, but he was very, very visionary about expanding the park system that was already begun to be developed in the 1890s, but around 1907, when he started to serve on the Parks Commission, this is when this park was actually purchased. Now, this park was it's called Gordon Park. It's named for the Gordon family, which was Charles Whitnall's first wife, Annie Gordon. And this was 13 and a half acres. and it goes all the way along the river. It's much bigger than what you see right here in this corner. But it's interesting that the house that you can see was from, he was born in that house, Charles Whitnall, and it was built around 1850. So 1851, I think. So there's a lot of history that goes way back. And one of the things, there's other parts of this park that remain that were early constructions, and we'll pass by a few of them as we go. So we're here in a corner of Gordon Park that's located right above the river and the woodlands over to the east of here. And this is a hidden gem of Gordon Park. What's really amazing is that there's this, it's something called a council ring. We're not sure exactly who designed it, but it is basically an homage to Jens Jensen, who included these signature council rings in most of his landscapes, which included a lot of parks in Chicago, like Columbus Park and Garfield Park, but he also did that in private landscapes, such as his home at the Clearing in Door County. But one of the idea of the council ring in Jensen's eyes, and here's a picture of him sitting on one of his council rings. The idea was to create a seating area that's in a circle that's it's about 18 inches high, where everyone can be at the same level. There's no one at the head or the foot or anything. Everyone's equal. And he was inspired by both his Danish folk schools that he attended when he was growing up in Denmark, as well as the Native American traditions of fires around a circle, or kivas, and depending on the tribe. So this idea of the council ring resonates. It's also a very pleasing feature to have a circle in a landscape that's basically natural. So there's a contrast between the built environment and the natural environment. This council ring, I'm told, is used by classes of young people to come into the park and have some kind of a learning session as an outdoor classroom. So this is, it's designed so that it can be used for whatever anybody wants it to be used. You can have a meeting here, you can have a picnic, whatever. It's a great place to just be quiet, and yet you're right in the middle of a busy park where there's a lot of other things going on. So here's a good spot to see the Milwaukee River down below. Now the river was very popular, as I mentioned, for swimming in the early era of this park, but then it became so polluted that people stopped being able to use the Milwaukee River for swimming. Originally it was chosen, the river, for swimming because it was much warmer than Lake Michigan. But then around in the late 30s, the boat houses and such in Milwaukee started being closed. By 1940, this is when a new swimming pool and boathouse were built within the park itself, up on the top edge. And now from here we can take the natural path and walk over to the paved trail, which is part of the Beerline Trail. On the one of the markers along the Beerline Trail, and it honors the various supporters of this trail, which was created to connect, and it makes it possible for many people to have access to nature within a few minutes. So the whole idea is that a park or a trail needs to be within 10 minutes of a walk in order to be really valuable to the citizens and neighbors living nearby. So we'll go into the woods and then see a little bit more of this trail. So I would like to finish our little Jane's Walk here in Gordon Park by reading a poem that is just a short poem about exploring landscapes, and it's called Reading Landscape Palimpsest. And palimpsests are layers of something where the original layer is just built upon, and it's often used in describing works of art like paintings or drawings. But a landscape has many layers, and so here's the poem. Wander, take in everything, touch stones, humus, sand, leaves, lichen, bark. Sense hidden layers, notice smells, sounds, sky. Imagine who walked here eons ago, what they saw. Seek prospects, shelter, shade. Sit, close eyes, kneel, linger longer than you intended. Delve into maps, pictures, stories of this place. Ask when, why. Return in all seasons. So thank you for joining Jennifer Current, Milo Current, and myself on this little impromptu Jane's Walk through Gordon Park, and hope you will explore it in many ways yourself, in your own time, in your own ways, and just get out there and enjoy nature within the city. Thanks.